Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're still typing out long, rambling paragraph prompts into ChatGPT or Claude here in 2026, I've kind of got some tough news for you. You're working 10 times harder, and honestly, you're getting worse results. The era of just crossing your fingers, hitting enter, and hoping the AI magically understands your massive block of text, yeah, that is officially over. Today, we're going to completely reconstruct how you interact with artificial intelligence. We're moving far away from those outdated habits, and I'm going to show you exactly how the top 1% of professionals are getting elite, totally non-generic outputs on the very first try. You see, the major AI labs have quietly but fundamentally completely changed the chat box this year. They've shifted entirely away from what we all used to call prompt engineering, moving over to a completely new paradigm called context engineering. The days of trying to trick a chatbot with magic keywords or super clever phrasing, those are completely behind us. Modern frontier models simply do not operate that way anymore. To get the absolute best out of them, you have to fundamentally change what you're feeding them, and that means focusing entirely on context.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast is huge. Between 2023 and 2025, we were all basically taught to do this sort of conversational cheerleading. We'd write these messy 300-word paragraphs saying stuff like, act as a senior marketer, or be super creative. But today's models, they demand structured architecture. They absolutely need explicit constraint boundaries and reference templates. Honestly, they don't need you to hype them up. What they need is for you to build a tight, structured frame for them to operate inside of. And the consequences of sticking to that old way are literally massive. Throwing unstructured paragraphs at a modern model causes severe context confusion, leading to a massive 58% failure rate on multi-step instructions. Think about that. Over half the time, the model isn't failing because it lacks intelligence, it's just losing the plot because your actual instructions are buried deep inside a giant wall of text.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, why prompting died. Second, the 4 rules of context engineering. Third, the 2026 playbook. And finally, the honest AI limits. We're going to systematically shatter those old habits and rebuild your workflow into a true powerhouse.
Let's jump right into Section 1, Why Prompting Died, Context Confusion. We really need to detail exactly what changed in mid-2026 to permanently break those old chatty conversational methods we all used to rely on.
The landscape completely shifted, back-to-back, in the summer of 2026. On July 9th, we got the release of GPT 5.6 and ChatGPT Work. And then literally just weeks later, on July 24th, Claude Opus 5 dropped. These models are built entirely differently than their predecessors. They inherently demand structure, not chatty paragraphs. Banging away in a single message box like you're talking to a human intern actually bypasses the core strengths of these systems. So the crucial point is understanding context engineering. This is defined as the practice of providing structured system architecture, clear constraint boundaries, and reference templates, rather than conversational prompt instructions. This right here is the ultimate solution. This is exactly what the top power users do, and it is the absolute core focus of everything we're covering today. All right, Section 2, the 4 rules of context, the elite framework. This is the masterclass portion of our explainer. I'm going to break down 4 specific, highly actionable rules that the top 1% are using right now. Rule number 1, move your instructions entirely out of the chat box and into persistent system prompts. Whether you're leveraging Claude's project knowledge or OpenAI's custom instructions, this is where your core rules need to live. Seriously, why retype your business context, your brand tone, and your formatting rules every single time you open a new session? By locking them into the system prompt once, you permanently anchor the model's behavior across every single response.
Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is rule number 2. Use explicit XML tags to completely eliminate ambiguity. Frontier models love structure. When you wrap your inputs in tags, literally typing out a background tag, a task tag, and a constraints tag, you cleanly separate your background context from the actual instruction. The model sees exactly where the context ends and the execution begins.
And the data backs this up beautifully. Technical benchmarks from mid-2026 prove that simply wrapping your inputs in structured XML tagging cuts hallucination rates by a staggering 64%. Basically, you're building solid guardrails that physically prevent the model from wandering off into the weeds. And this brilliantly illustrates the impact on complex tasks. Look at that jump. Using the old, messy paragraph method, models only followed multi-step instructions about 42% of the time. But when you switch to context engineering, task compliance skyrockets to 91%. That is huge. When you remove the ambiguity, the AI executes with absolute precision.
Moving on to rule number 3, which is all about few-shot exemplars. We have got to stop trying to describe style with subjective adjectives. Words like professional or punchy or engaging, they mean completely different things to different people and for sure to different models. Instead, you supply an exact sample, a gold standard report or email, right inside an exemplar tag. Giving the AI an exact target pattern to replicate easily beats any adjective, and it completely eliminates that boring, generic AI filler text.
And rule number 4, well, this is the secret weapon: embedding self-correction verification loops. Before you let the model give you its final answer, you explicitly instruct it to evaluate its own work against an internal checklist. You literally tell the AI to review its draft against your constraints tag, identify any missing points, adjust it, and only then output the finalized deliverable. This forces the model to catch its own mistakes before handing the work over to you.
Let's move to Section 3, the 2026 Playbook, the 4-part template. Let's see how all of this builds into something totally tangible that you can copy and paste today.
Here is what a complete 2026 context engineering template looks like in practice. It's structured into 4 very distinct blocks. Step 1 is your role tag, which defines exactly who the model is and its core objective. Step 2 is the context tag, providing all the company, audience, or technical specs. Step 3 is your constraints tag, and this one is absolutely crucial. This is where you list strict limits, things like no corporate buzzwords and strict word counts. Finally, step 4 is the output tag, dictating the exact markdown layout you expect back. When you feed this structured frame to Opus 5 or GPT 5.6, you completely eliminate that super annoying 15-minute back-and-forth prompt tweaking. You just get publish-ready results on draft 1.
Section 4, honest AI limits, not magic, just science. Let's pivot to a quick reality check here, because as incredible as context engineering is, it's not magic if you apply it incorrectly in the real world. We really need to know the limits.
First up, we've got to talk about context bloat. We see models like Gemini 3.6 Flash offering a massive 2 million token window. That's like uploading entire libraries. But just because you have that incredible amount of space doesn't mean you should just dump thousands of completely unorganized pages into it.
Stuffing massive, messy context into the model actually degrades factual retrieval by up to 25%. It's a very real phenomenon known in the industry as being lost in the middle. Keep your context clean. Second, you have to watch out for oversteering. If you stack 50 rigid constraint rules into a system prompt, your output is going to become super robotic, or the model might actually just refuse the prompt entirely. Start with 3 to 5 core constraints. Finally, remember your ecosystem differences. Anthropic models currently parse XML tags best, while OpenAI models handle Markdown headers just as well. Always adapt your structure to the specific ecosystem you're using.
So here is your one power move for this week. Take your absolute most frequent AI task, whether that's drafting reports, writing code, or summarizing client calls, and upgrade it from a basic chat prompt into a 4-part context engineering template. Set up your system instructions, use those XML tags, and give it a stellar exemplar. Try this out and see the massive shift in quality for yourself. So, what is the single prompt you are still retyping every single day that needs to become a system template today? Stop prompting, start engineering, upgrade how you